Good morning, guys. It's Friday, September 22nd, 2017. This is the Daily Mix TV. So is the time-honored tradition of American football gone sour with millennials and Generation Z? NFL games took a second in their ratings over the second week of the season, prompting some anxious reactions from both financial and media analysts. Average viewership for the NFL's TV games nationally sank 10% for the second week of the season to just under 16 million viewers, according to Nielsen. Now, that's down from 17.6 million. For the second week of the season, NBC's Sunday Night Football game, which featured the Green Bay Packers versus the Atlanta Falcons, was down about 11% from the same week last year to 20.2 million viewers. Now, that's down from the first week, which registered 24.4 million viewers. Now, let's look at a contrast here. Fox's second week, late afternoon Sunday game, that grabbed the top slot. The big game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos grew just over 20% from a year ago to just under 26 million viewers. Now, the first week of the season saw a 12% decline to about 16.5 million from an average of 18.7 million the year before. Now, in press reports, a media analyst for Jefferies, his name is John Janidis, said a continued 10% decline in national TV NFL ratings for the season could mean a collective $200 million cut in earnings for media companies airing the games on their TV network. So NBC and Fox could be looking at some serious declines. Now, remember, back in the 90s, Major League Baseball went through a similar situation. A lot of what was driving in terms of the MLB's issue was a potential player lockout, which actually happened, ending the season early before the World Series. Now, in most cases, guys, I'm not 100% sure what the source of this decline is, but something tells me it's going to be temporary, and in most cases, I have a feeling it has everything to do with what's going on in politics and pop culture right now. So people are tired of hearing about Colin Kaepernick and how he doesn't have a contract, and one side is blaming because he's African American, the other side is blaming because he knelt down during the national anthem, and so on. People are just exhausted by controversy. They're tired of the politics in everything. They just want to turn to sports and entertainment to dial out and have a good time. So, like baseball, football is big business. And the franchise owners aren't stupid. Neither is the league. And I have a number of friends at the NFL. So I know these guys, they see the numbers, they're going to act. And it may just take them a little time to recapture their audience. But I'm telling you right now, the first thing they're going to do is tell franchise owners, coaches, and managers, enough with the politics, enough with the games. Let's get back to playing real sports. Now, that's the thing I love about American sports. From a business and marketing point of view, they understand how to evolve based on trend and what's going on in the market. So, NFL is a little slower to adopt than, let's say, MLB or NHL, but they are massive in terms of their revenues and profits. So the league is not just going to lay down and let this continue. Now, breaking news out of London this morning, the British capital is kicking Uber to the curb. Transport for London, TfL, which manages their transportation initiatives such as London Taxi and so on, has opted to not renew Uber's private hire license, which is required for them to operate in London. TfL has concluded the ride-hailing app firm was not fit and proper to hold a private hire operator license. Apparently, Uber's approach and conduct demonstrated a lack of corporate responsibility, which could have potential public safety and security implications, according to the TfL. I really wish the TfL was running New York City's TNLC, which is the Taxi and Limousine Commission. They're very strict about their rules, and they have to be. London is one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, and their transport initiatives are very clean, very straightforward, and very strict. So, as I said, I wish New York would adopt some of those standards. Uber has 21 days to appeal this decision, and they can operate during that time. But something tells me they're going to have one hell of a bumpy road getting into getting reapproved and getting their license back. If they don't get their license, this is going to be a serious issue for Uber, because I have a feeling other metropolitan areas will start following suit, given all of the issues that Uber has had in the last year. Now, speaking of transit and traffic, anyone who has been in New York over the last 5 years knows how bad it has gotten. It makes LA's traffic look like a cakewalk, and that's actually saying something. It does have a direct impact on commerce in the Big Apple, because I know a handful of you are asking, why is he talking about this? Believe it or not, traffic patterns do impact business from a logistics and a commerce perspective. If delivery trucks can't get to the stores to deliver their goods, then their shelves are empty, and it's a big problem. If truckers say they're not going to drive into Manhattan because they're afraid they're going to get ticketed, congestion's too much, it takes too much time, and so on, that brings business down. Now, part of the problem is that in Manhattan, as an example, we've lost about a third of our vehicular lanes thanks to the bike lane rollout, pedestrian parks, and the dividers that were installed during the Bloomberg administration. But at least Mayor Bloomberg, who's a very smart businessman, alleviated the problem with strict traffic enforcement. Sadly, our current mayor, Bill de Blasio, has not followed suit. As two examples, NYPD traffic seemingly no longer enforces "Don't Block the Box." It's a law that basically helped to alleviate congestion for decades, thanks to then Mayor Ed Koch, who rolled it out. It also appears that half the time, traffic agents only enforce the law when they feel like it. So I'm going to give you an example. This morning, I witnessed a traffic agent blatantly ignore an illegally parked motorcycle that could have generated $200 in income for the city. Now, the bike was definitely illegally parked. It was in a bike lane, in a construction zone, with a clear no standing sign right above it. And you can see the photo for yourself. Yet, when we asked the traffic agent if he could write a ticket, he actually told me to go call 911 and stated, "Yeah, I'm not writing tickets today." What? Are you kidding me? So then a sergeant pulls up in one of the traffic vehicles, this one to be specific. When I told her what he said, she wasn't happy and stated she would personally ticket the motorcycle. Yeah, right. That didn't happen. She drove off. Instead, she drove off after she spoke with the traffic agent. So, are you kidding me? This is where our tax dollars are going to. A new level of bureaucracy at a division of the NYPD whose people are not actually sworn officers, and there's apparently virtually no accountability. This is not the first time I've seen this. I'm going to lodge a complaint with the CCRB, the Civilian Complaint Review Board, to see if they pay attention to this. But given what's going on in the city right now, and there's a lot of animosity between the cops and City Hall and the Civilian Complaint Review Board, something tells me they're just not going to care about this. Now, you're saying right about now, $200? Really? Believe it or not, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you multiply it by the amount of times I have seen agents ignore these situations alone, and then extrapolating and thinking through how many agents there are in the city, that translates to millions of dollars New York desperately needs to fix its aging infrastructure issues. Now, Mayor de Blasio is the incumbent in a heavy Democratic stronghold. The election in November is going to be very interesting to see in terms of how his sentiment rating affects that, given a lot of the controversy around the mayor. But, I'm not going to get into a heavy political debate between de Blasio and the Republican candidate, Nicole Malliotakis out of Staten Island. My point is very simple. The NYPD is charged with ensuring the safety and security of the city and enforcing the law. The NYPD Traffic Division, I've seen just far too many times skirt their responsibility. And it's just a shame, especially with the fact that, frankly, they're supposed to be generating a lot of revenue because there are a lot of people who break traffic laws. They park in front of hydrants, they double park, those kinds of things. And it is a nuisance, especially when you have so many fewer vehicular lanes, which do disrupt commerce. Now, forget home delivery. It's time for in-home delivery. What am I talking about? Walmart is upping the ante on shipping by partnering with August Smart Home Devices to allow for in-home drop-offs. So essentially, certain grocery items could be put away in your refrigerator and freezer by these delivery people. Now, the pilot's going to begin in Silicon Valley, where customers will allow one-time entry into their homes by delivery drivers using an August Smart Lock. Now, I personally don't know that I would like a stranger, let alone a delivery person in my home without either my wife or I being there. But there are a lot of people who are very trusting, and when you get into rural markets and suburban markets, obviously it's a different ballpark. It's a different game. But when you're in a major metro like New York, that gets a little complicated. I think that it's a great idea. It's a great concept. From a marketing point of view, it's another level of convenience for the customer. And I love that Walmart is innovating and trying new things. But I really do hope that from a legal perspective, certainly from a logistics perspective, they've thought this through to the nth degree in terms of ensuring the customer's home safety. Now, does Apple have a problem with their iPhone X rollout? The production delays facing Apple's very, very anticipated handset may be worse than previously believed. According to sources who've recently toured the Asian production facilities where the phones are manufactured, it looks like real full-on production of the $1,000 iPhone X won't start until mid-October, and it won't reach full capacity in production until about December. Now, that's a month later than what was previously expected, and I would be very worried if I were Apple, certainly Apple stores, certainly the carriers, because whenever Apple releases a new device, the lines are very long and so on, and you got a lot of customers that get very frustrated when things are sold out so quickly. Now, Apple is notorious for managing their supply and demand very tightly, and they know people jump, because they've created this lifestyle brand, at anything they throw out, with one exception. The iPhone 8, which is being released today, there's very low demand for it because people are waiting for the X. Now, because of the delays in production, I have a feeling that Santa Claus isn't going to get as yelled at by children and tech guys and all those folks as much as analysts believe. Some analysts are stating that this delay is going to cause people to defect to Google or their Pixel or the Samsung Galaxy class series of phones. I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen. I have a feeling you're going to see a better balance between the 8 and the X once people realize how short the supply is on the X, but they're still wanting a new Apple device, especially since about half of the current iPhone base of users are still on an iPhone 6 or older. It's a tough call. I mean, going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be a very tight call with respect to how Apple performs during the holiday season. We will keep an eye on this one for you. I'm actually going to run over to AT&T and talk to a few people now and see what their reaction is, and we'll report back on Monday. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I am the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. We would love to hear from you, so please email us at thedailymixtv@gmail.com. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll catch you on Monday.